Hello, fellow thrill seekers. Welcome to Adventures with Tiki. I'm your fearless leader, Michelle Jones, Reiki practitioner, adventurist, and boundary expander. I'm curious about what's beyond the horizon, behind the locked door, and I have questions that most people are afraid to ask. Will you set out on this quest to soothe some curiosities with me? Hit that subscribe button and buckle up as we take an epic quest into the physical and metaphysical realms of wonder and intrigue in search of thrills and answers to some of these questions. Welcome everybody to Norman, Oklahoma. We are here at the Moore Lindsay house. We're going to go in and take a tour of this and see what we can find out about Norman history and the Moore and Lindsay families. Come with me. Very well-known gardener in the area, and you can see here's the torch that we talked about that was upside down in the window for her son. That one looks more like a family crest, but this is definitely a torch upside down. And as we come around on this wraparound porch, you can still smell the fragrance of those flowers. And the grounds here are absolutely stunning. She used to be a very beautiful gardener, and out this window she would have roses, and she would look at her roses out back here. This house is absolutely extraordinary. You see the little garden back here. Imagine when this was built, she had quite a bit more land. And this is the carriage house out here. We'll go back here and look at this in a minute. We're going to take a tour of the house first. This is the carriage house. And look at the monarch. At the top of the stairs is the turret room. And this is where it was said that the lady of the house would sit and sew or do other projects and crafts, read, that kind of thing, because the light was so good in this room. And so over here you see a spinning wheel and a sewing machine, a couple of chairs for reading, and a curio. This is a pecan tree. This is talking about the Bradford pear again. Look at all the parts. All the detail on there. Sewing machines were really quite something, weren't they? That one's missing a belt. The plate of the Coventers. Wow. This picture of the old regime study club was taken in June of 1912 at the home of Mrs. Daisy Lindsay on North Peters Avenue. The club was originated in this home in 1908. The home originally belonged to the W.S. Moores. W.S. Moore was an aunt of Mrs. Lindsay, and it's said that they're all pictured in this picture. The Moores and the Lindsay. Front row to right, left to right, Mrs. Judge Anderson, Mrs. C.S. Bobo, Mrs. W.N. Rucker, Mrs. A. Grant Evans, Mrs. J.D. McGuire, Mrs. Agnes Wantland, Mrs. J.B. Cheadle. Rear left to right, Mrs. Daisy Lindsay, Mrs. Tom Smith, Mrs. John Franning, Mrs. Bob Berry, Mrs. John Taylor, Mrs. J.B. Hardy, Mrs. R.W. Lothar, Mrs. Will Hayes, Mrs. W.S. Moore, Mrs. D.W. Griffin, Mrs. Cora Pritchard, Mrs. J.H. Felger, Mrs. S.P. Render, Mrs. Lauren Campbell, and Dr. Lucille Dora. So this here would have been Daisy Lindsay, who was the owner of the property, and this would have been Mrs. Moore. So this is Mrs. Lindsay and this is Mrs. Moore, her aunt. They were the owners of this home. And this is Mr. and Mrs. Moore, I think, here in the hall. If I'm not mistaken, it could be Mr. and Mrs. Lindsay. And again, you'll see that this is a torch stained glass window that's been hung upside down for her son. A doily that was made. This would have been the original master suite. And these are hair wreaths. Interesting. These old traveling trunks and storage trunks. Beautiful chaise lounge. Again, it's talking more about the plants outside. Chickweed, Stellaria media. Oh, that's some of what's out there on the front. Henbit, Lamium, Amplexic. I don't even know how to say that. Forgive me for all you guys who know how to say all those herby words. That's Mr. and Mrs. Moore. This chair was used in Emma Coleman's photography studio. Wow. This was the original bed. Well, I think this was not, maybe, but this was, even though this was the master suite, this was a typical size bed for a 2-people sleeping situation in this time. And the baby doll. Keep a pistol by the bed. And they were actually wealthy enough to have a closet. Which wasn't common in that day. Hey. And you can see the beautiful staircase coming up. This is the children's bedroom, and it was furnished by the Oklahoma Society Children of the American Revolution. And so it depicts a bedroom that would have appeared in my understanding, a more plain, common home than in a home so fancy as this. But there's a lot of things in here. These are children's play toys. So you have blocks here. You have dishes that really could have been cooked with. A little stove at the bottom to actually cook on. And a dresser for her baby doll with a rocker. And all these tops and stuff in here. There's the old Norman High School. Books of the period. Dainties, Gay Times, The Enchanted Barn, Uncle Sam's Boys, Mary Jane's City Home. Some of the titles in there. A budget of stories. Countries throughout the world. Reading, literature, Robinson Crusoe, and some more dolls. This bed is an 1840s bed. It is from the 1840s, and there are straps underneath of it. So you see these ropes here. Every night they'd have to be retightened because they would sag through the night, and you would end up sleeping, you know, in a wallow. So every day they had to be tightened to keep the bed tight. And this was a picture of Mrs. Moore's daughter, and this was here on the property. And you see her collection of toys and dolls, and she would have had much fancier things. All the dolls over here, the rocking horse there in the back. Again, another closet, which just was absolutely unheard of. This house cost about $5,000 to build, when the average home in Norman at that time was costing between $400 and $500 to build. A report card used in 1911 by Loyal Wells. Wow. Another grade card. I noticed this yesterday when I did a walkthrough here, and if anybody can tell me what kind of photo this is, leave it in the comments. What kind of doll is this? Look at how interesting he looks. He's made of horsehair or wool or some other natural fiber. And we come back out into the hallway and we see this hand-painted portrait of this house. That's what it looks like from out front. And these here are other bedrooms, a linen closet, and they're using them for archives and storage. And this would have been the butler's stairs, so that they didn't disturb anything going on up front. They're very, very steep and very, very narrow, so we're not going to go down there. This is a side saddle, and there is its rider. She was one of the original land grab members, and this was her saddle. All right, well, we're gonna go downstairs. We're gonna go downstairs and check out what's downstairs. All the hand carved detail, and this was what they said. It used to be where they would make this where it would come off so that you could store stuff down in there. And they said there was no evidence of this one ever having been removed, but kind of looks like it might come off there, doesn't it? The stairwell. And we're in what is known as the front parlor. And do you see, this was I think this was Mrs. Lindsay's plants, or Mrs. Moore's, one of them, very much into gardening. And so this was her front area as it was displayed with her plants. Very ornate detail in the woodworking. This is the front parlor. And this is where guests would have been greeted. Look at these old switches. They're said to have the original light fixtures in this area. And these carpets, just beautiful. The original floors, pocket doors. Just beautiful. I love this wallpaper in here. The red stained glass. If you had red stained glass in this time, you were very, very wealthy, because it was very hard to get. It had to be imported from at least out of state, which was quite the feat. These are all pictures of the family, either here in this room. Hey everyone. Here's some clothes that would have been worn during that time. They have some photos over here. Again, this is this room right here, and this is all of her plants. And her daughter down there at the bottom enjoying all of the fruits of her labor with her plants. And there's all kinds of pictures and postcards and letters and things in here to look at. How absolutely interesting. Wow. Different things in Norman. Places they've seen. University of Oklahoma. Business Administration Building. Tower Administration Hall. Science Hall. These are mostly the university, which is here in Norman. That looks like Main Street. But how fun. Yeah, behind the clouds is the sun still, behind the cloud is the sun still shining? Well, that's a good question to ponder. Oh, look at this album. Here's a book, Works of Edgar Allan Poe, The Cask of Amontillado. Not sure how to pronounce that. And this was the standing organ that they were talking about. And I think that's the original owners up there. The old Victrola fireplace. Look at these beautiful, beautiful tiles. And their original spare couple in the dining room, I think. Look, some more of this red glass. It was said that it made women look more rosy and attractive. Did it help? How fun. Look at these beautiful windows, another gorgeous seating area. The camera of the day. Typewriter. Can you imagine we've come from this technology all the way to having such computers in our hands? Look at this bench. This is Mrs. Moore's daughter, I believe. Georgia Boy, Lion Greenlow, Lion, or Lawn, Longfellow, okay. History of Oklahoma, Soldiers 3, Primer of Sanitation and Psychology. Interesting. Letter Writer, Book of Etiquette. I guess that would be important. Oh, history books. Blue Bonnet, Debutante, Playmates. Bet you not the ones you just thought of. Look, an old telegraph. How cool is that? Inkwell writer, the old phone. Had lots of miles on it. Look how often that handle was held. Class of 1912, University of Oklahoma Law School. Wow. You come back here and this is the bathroom. Very nicely done. This curio here, and a viewfinder. You look in and you see the pictures in 3D. I wonder if we can actually see. How interesting. And kitchen sink. This office used to be it used to be an outside kitchen. You still have the stove and all of the cookware of the day. Oh, a little mini tea set. That reminds me of my sister and I when we were girls. We used to have little mini tea sets. This is a view from the kitchen looking back into the other parlor there. Back to the bathroom. And I think that door is where the maid's quarters were. Or the butler's quarters, whichever. This was the dining room. Again, these are original light fixtures. Original light fixtures. All right, so that's going to wrap it up here at the Moore Lindsay house in Norman, Oklahoma. We're going to go out back and check out the carriage house here, and then we're going to be moving on. I'm glad you joined me, and if you're still here, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the next Adventures with Tiki. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Adventures with Tiki. Today, we pushed the limits of our boundaries, increased our wisdom, and expanded our curiosity. Join me next episode as we continue taking epic quests to discover the unknown.